So, I would like to start with the first presentation today, and the topic is the XR stream, the grand challenge at the Royal College of Art from last year. So that was an exciting project, which we basically developed with a whole team behind it. I will say a few more words about this later on. So what I want to talk about now in the presentation is, so first of all, what is the grand challenge about actually? Then the next thing is to talk about the XR stream. So this is basically the element where we use XR technology, and our students developed a couple of projects in this context. And I selected two projects, so ERVR and Sudscape, which I will show to you in more detail. And actually, some of you saw the demo yesterday in terms of ERVR. So that is something which was implemented in Unreal. And if you're interested, I can give a demo later on today as well. Okay, let's have a look into what is the Grand Challenge 2023-2024. So that's a big project. So it's probably the largest postgraduate design project in the world, because we had 700 students working on that year. So this was 2023-2024. And the idea behind this was to basically look into how can you apply citizen science to ocean and water-related issues. We had different collaboration partners on this, so SSI, the Life Poets Foundation, RNLI, which is quite huge in UK, and we have now a partnership with the National Oceanographic Centre. And in addition, that's something I mentioned yesterday at the site already, we became Ocean Decade implementing partner of the UNESCO, so there are a couple of these partners in the world, but in this context we are basically developing in our NEMO project a couple of different design solutions in the context of ocean-related issues. So I was saying we basically had 700 students working on this. 700 students, that's the whole School of Design. So we have 4 faculties at the Royal College of Art. It's a very small university with around 2,500 students. So, and 700 of this are in the School of Design. So it's interesting because these are different disciplines. So I'm from Innovation Design Engineering. Then there's design products, service design, fashion, textiles, so very diverse programs, which are all participating in this. And in addition, we have also intelligent mobility who is participating in this competition. So, and as part of this competition, so we had groups of 5, and each group was associated to one particular borough. So we have 32 boroughs plus the City of London in London. So, and I will basically talk now about 2 particular projects which were part of the finalists here. So we had in the end, we had 13 finalist projects selected, and 2 of them were part of the XR stream. So let me say a few more words about the XR stream. 2 years ago, I gave you a presentation about the VR workshop at the Grand Challenge, which was happening, right before this presentation. So, so this year it's basically this XR stream, and the setup was as follows. So we had 10 different groups, and each group had 5 members, and each of these groups also got an Oculus or Meta Quest 2 and were able to work with this. And we had different lectures which were coming with this, so I gave a couple of virtual reality related lectures. And then in addition, they also had some support to learn how to actually use Unreal. And the important message is here, so if you had normally 5 people, there was a pre-selection process. So from these 5 people, maximum 1 of them has some general idea how to actually work with Unreal Engine. So this means it was kind of exciting that in the end we had kind of 10 functional products coming out of that. Of course, prototypes, but still something you can show. So I want to start now with the first one, which was one of these finalists, which is called ERVR. And this was in the borough of Harrow, which is probably not so well known in terms of London. But so that's the Harrow is located here in the northwest of London. And this project is called ERVR. And here you can see already some illustration taken directly out of Unreal. And so the idea was to train expert and volunteers in terms of firefly monitoring. And here you can see a screenshot from the device. And and if you actually are interested, you are more than welcome. I know a few of you were able to test it yesterday already, to have a look into this virtual environment.
When we think of life underwater, our first thought is usually the ocean. But do we know about the life in the streams near us? We perhaps also feel there's little we can do to address water pollution. But caring for our streams is also caring for the oceans. As citizens, we can play a critical role in assessing the water quality of the streams flowing into oceans and inform policy change. One of the ways to achieve this is studying the invertebrates which are often overlooked. Riverfly monitoring is the regular assessment of invertebrates present in fresh water bodies. The type of invertebrates present indicate the quality of the water and highlight instances of pollution. X-River is a virtual reality experience that enables groups from various backgrounds to explore the biodiversity in local water bodies and train as volunteers. It is being tested in Harrow, where riverfly monitoring is an ongoing activity pursued by citizen scientists, but it is also practiced and applicable across the UK. X-River was developed in consultation with Zoological Society of London and Harrow Nature Conservation Forum. It offers a diverse value proposition. Firstly, local, national and international conservation organisations can use it to train citizen scientists in effective riverfly monitoring. Second, it is used by schools to give students an opportunity to learn about and create an interest in the biodiversity of water bodies around them through exploration. Through this, X-River creates the next generation of riverfly monitors, diversifying the volunteer group. Third, it would be an experiential exhibit in museums focused on nature and conservation. Lastly, it is used as part of awareness drives in boroughs to pique people's interests in the streams around them, which are often forgotten and overlooked. Let us now walk you through the experience while discussing the value of using VR for the training. The experience can be expanded to include different landscapes in the future, as monitoring is introduced for estuaries and wetlands. Different riverflies and water species can be added to the experience, providing further training for those with prior knowledge. Thus, X-River connects a varied group of citizens to life underwater and is a step towards creating local stewards caring for the water bodies in their boroughs.
We showcased our VR demo to Harrow Nature Conservation Forum, who appreciated its ability to reach a larger audience, including school children. The demo was also tested with Zoological Society London, who shared this sentiment. They are keen to investigate potential funding streams to continue developing X-River.
Yeah, that's basically the team behind it, who developed that. So in the background, Unreal Engine was used in combination with Blender, so that's also which was part of the initial workshop which were happening. And as you can see, I also have a MetaQuest 2 with me, so if you're interested, you're more than welcome to test it actually. So not all the elements you saw in the video are working, so it's not a fully functional game, but you get a really nice idea how you can interact with the different elements, and in terms of to get an idea of this virtual environment, which is quite beautiful. I think it's a really interesting experience. Next stop. So this was actually the full video. So that was a 3-minute video which had to be submitted to the competition. For this one, because we don't have so much time, I will only show the short version of the video. So that's Sudscape, which is located in Lambeth, which is another borough. As you can see, it's here a little bit more in the center of London. And interestingly, so that's also quite close to the Thames River. And this was basically looking into, so here you see the general team, to bring together co-design with ocean science, and it's a place-based approach, but especially as you had this borough association, each of these approaches were normally place-based. But so Sudscape relates to flood mitigation, And if you wonder what this SAT means here, I just put it here below, sustainable urban drainage systems. So that's basically the main topic of this approach, and it's looking into surface water flooding. So how can you mitigate that? And you will get a few more information about this then during the video. But here I also wanted to share with you, so these are some of the interactions they did. So for example, they were talking with people in the field, so with citizens. Here below you can actually see they were talking to councillors. This one actually is from Chelsea Kensington councillor, who's working quite closely with us together. And then you can see here elements of the mapping process and how they try to identify how can they use XR-related technologies to tackle this kind of issues or to communicate these issues. And here you can see other ideas. So the approach, how you could actually do it. You could simulate interventions in a way. You could map different processes. You could use XR in this process as well, and of course you can also increase the awareness of the corresponding approaches.
Did you know 46,950 residential properties and 3,000 non-residential properties in the London Borough of Lambeth could be at the risk of surface water flooding during a heavy rainfall event? The Lambeth Council is responsible for mitigating, preventing and preparing the citizens against surface water flooding. Our tool enables more informed decision-making and prioritization by visualizing the GIS data in virtual reality to see the impact areas and the sustainable drainage system, also known as SUDS intervention, to tackle the surface water flooding.
It allows the council member to walk through the existing mapped-out water flow accumulation and find potential intervention spots. It then enables experimentation with the SUDS interventions to see the impact, understand the stats, and prioritize which intervention is best for them. Furthermore, it expands the current communication manner with the help of augmented reality to a more simplified, less scientific method, making it easier to understand for the everyday citizen.
Yeah, so that's a short version. It's just a 1-minute cut to keep it shorter. But the interesting thing about this project is that it's a kind of hybrid project. So you had virtual reality methodologies used in the process, augmented reality on the other hand, so that you are able to go into the field and show the different approaches. So how could you change the environment? How could you change the architecture to improve the situation in terms of flooding? And flooding is a very big topic in London. So especially if you are close to the Thames, there are now already some days where you cannot pass from some areas through anymore because just basically the water is too high there. Yeah, to come to the end, we exhibited this at a couple of locations. So this year was the initial exhibition after the Grand Challenge was over. So we have a really nice venue for this purpose, and we had a good graphic designer who was actually working with us together on that. So each of the different projects were represented by one of the banners there. And here you can see that's actually Sudscape on the left side, the banner there. And so some of my co-organizer is there, so Elise. And you can also see one of the borough representatives who visited us there. And gave us actually feedback, so he was very interested in the Sudscape project. Then in addition, we were last year at the UNESCO Ocean Decade Conference, where we showcased on one hand our NEMO project. I talked about this yesterday a bit. And on the right side, you can see that was the exhibition of the 13 finalists, so which was also shown there. That's what actually happening in Barcelona. So we got a lot of really interesting and positive input in terms of the overall project. That was the team behind it. So there were 3 academic leads. So it was, I had a really great time with Carla and Elise. So as you can imagine, as it was a few students to administrate, so we needed a lot of power in our team. So Vivienne was our main administrator, who was basically doing a lot of support in the background. Very important is here Rian Stevens. So Rian, on one hand, was running with me the XR workshop together, so he was also the technical instructor. And the good message is he sadly is not in this position anymore. Instead, he's now the lab lead for the WIS lab, which I presented yesterday in my talk. So he basically stepped up now. And yeah, we are having very strong collaboration now together. And Carola is the excellent graphic designer on the right side. And on the bottom, you can see that was our advisory team who basically helped us to deliver this. And yeah, so if you're interested, let me know. I know a few of you saw the demo already, but I'm happy later in the break, so in the coffee break, for example, to set up the demo, maybe in the lunch break if you're interested to have a look at this tool again. So Dan tested it yesterday already. I think it's an interesting approach to experiences in environment. So this is, again, as I mentioned, it's the X River project, which you can actually showcase then. Great, thanks a lot, and I'm happy to take questions.